Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Cold Brews and Hot Takes. Looking forward to kind of continuing a little bit more of the previous conversation, going from finances to financial impact and social impact, transforming into how that affects dating lifestyle. But first, let me get to today's brew. We have Leinenkugel's Creamy. Their creamy dark is actually really, really good. It's still very malty. Again, I'm a sucker for the malty ones. I understand that at first week of April, it's probably a little bit out of season at this point, but if you can pick up a seasonal that they have left over wherever they have it, before you pick up a summer shandy, right, the summer typical, check out their creamy dark. It's really smooth. Maybe not really like a front porch sipper, not exactly a shower beer. It's not going to be light, but it's worth a try. Yeah, so what I would like to go into here in episode 3 is going to be, for those of you who are lucky enough to find romantic interests over the past few months. I know COVID kind of put the hard brakes on any kind of romantic developments for a lot of folks, but for those that were able to find someone special, let me kind of go over what one person might be thinking versus another, going over some what we call love languages and the importance of effort, right? So hopefully the little bit of help I gave about a week or so ago in episode 2 to online dating and just dating in general, hopefully getting folks back out there safely and successfully, more importantly, successfully. Hopefully that now leads to a point in your life where you are kind of testing the waters a little bit more than dipping your toe into the dating, right? You have found someone who you think you want to pursue a more long-term relationship with. Coming from my point of view, it's probably the need to develop, the testing scenario of, is this person someone who I want to spend the rest of my life with in a marriage scenario, or is this someone who I just happen to have a good time with and I connect with, but ultimately is probably not the one for me. I understand a lot of you on dating apps and back in the dating world, especially in 2021, you just want to get back out there, right? Not necessarily looking for Mr. or Mrs. Right, more likely Mr. or Mrs. Right now. and that's fine. That is your choice. That is not my particular interest. And I'm of the low 30s age group, so I'm not exactly looking to date for dating's sake. I think I've gotten a little bit of practice over the years. I'm looking for an actual connection. I'm looking for something long term. Looking for hopefully someone that can become a wife, right? So that's kind of the direction I'd like to go in communicating what you may have heard of as the communication, the physical affection, the words of affirmation, the actions of service, and gift giving, right? The languages of love, right? So going from top to bottom, well, first let me preface that. I think that whether or not you feel comfortable giving them assurance to a lot of folks feels like, and the desire is to be like, on the receiving end of all 5 love languages, right? So what I have experienced is that oftentimes love languages, the needs that you want at any particular point of a life's season, right? They may change. The wants may change. The needs to feel like, oh, I'm receiving love, those can change. And though I'm sure we all have favorites, to receive all 5 is ultimately the dream. So the hope is that folks can feel comfortable giving all 5. If you are giving all 5, then I think that there wouldn't be necessarily a reason for uneasiness. There's assurance in your communication through what you're doing, what you're saying, that the person receiving those things feels confident, right? They feel secure, they feel love, right? And that's ultimately what we want. For myself, I'd probably say that quality time, definitely affection. Physical touch is big for me. And then acts of service, right? Those are going to be the big three. For gift giving, unless you're paying for date night, if you want to say that that's gift giving, then that would be up there. For me, that's more of act of service. You're doing something. You're not necessarily giving me a meal, right? You're paying for a meal that's prepared otherwise, but it's still some kind of exchange, right? For words of affirmation, I know for a lot of folks probably feel the same way. I see it as I'd rather you prove your intentions through actions than prove your intentions with sweet words, because I have been deceived, misled, however you want to call it. I haven't been told the truth in what I thought was a very straightforward communication of stating intentions, when that wasn't at all what was the truth. What was the real intention? It wasn't necessarily a lie. Like, I'm sure that needs and wants of these folks also changed as relationships grow and change. But to say one thing and then do another almost immediately, that feels very disingenuous. It feels dishonest. It's not a good feeling. And I think that if you are pursuing any relationship, whether it's short or long term, I think you need to completely divest yourself in doing that, because it's not doing anyone any favors. It makes you look like a jerk. It really hurts the other person's feelings. And really, unfortunately, in a city like Louisville, Kentucky, word gets around fast. It's a city, it's a metropolitan area, but everyone knows everyone. It's very strange. It's the biggest little city in the world, people think. It's very interconnected, and folks figure out very fast the type of person you are. So that I'm a big believer of integrity, of doing what you say you're going to do. An agreement is an agreement, and unless there is something life-threatening or game-changing, then you need to follow through with a creed or a promise that you've made. That's my personal point of view. I know some folks are a little bit more flippant, more flightish, and would rather. I've heard that folks just feel like they need to do more self-care, which, again, in a world of mental health crisis, I think that's relatable. I don't think that's inexcusable. I just think that if it's a pattern of doing that, then you should either be probably seeking some help, right? Professional help would be good, because you need to figure out what is going on to make you seem a little bit flaky at times, if it's truly a game-changing thing or a life-changing thing, and it happens a lot, then you kind of probably need to get your arms around what's really going on to make you do that. Or if it's not really something game-changing and you just find yourself to fall into that kind of pattern, you might need to do a little bit more soul-searching and figure out, okay, is this who I am? Am I okay doing that? In my opinion, that's very unattractive. Because eventually, for someone looking for a long-term relationship, including exchanging vows, when I hear a vow, I think, okay, that person is taking that promise seriously. And if you're not, if promises don't really mean a lot to you, then that vow means nothing to you. And in that case, it just becomes completely uninteresting, and that relationship doesn't have anywhere to go. So, again, that's why of my 5 love languages, my top 3, quality time, physical touch, affection, and making sure that you're expressing your actions, right? The service is big for me. So having said that, I think if we can kind of communicate that all of them are important, I think we also need to understand that showing all of them is important. Making an effort to, and this is probably making a lot of folks uncomfortable, I think a lot of folks feel comfortable expressing love languages and only probably a favorite or 2 of them. For me, it's very easy to express words of affirmation, because I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. I think that physical touch in a very physical generation, I think that's also very easy. So I think that comes very naturally for me. I hug almost everyone. Like if you meet me in person, we'll shake hands, we'll dap up, we'll hug it out if we need to. I'm not shy. Don't worry about that. If you ever visit Louisville, Kentucky, and you want to get some affection when your love language is, don't be shy. I'd love it. I'd appreciate it. Please come see me. I'd really appreciate it. I think that this entire generation is probably maybe hot and cold. I think for those that have had a history of, okay, there was a bad touch, there was some kind of victimhood created in your past, then totally understand that there might be some hesitation to physical touch. I'm not saying that should be forced on anyone. I'm not saying it should be assumed that everyone's a hugger, because I know that they're not. Reality shows, not everyone's like me. Surprise, surprise. But I do think that being able to be comfortable to express a hug, a handshake, a whatever. I've seen, elbow bumps in the world of COVID, right? Just being comfortable doing that is important, especially for those that are romantically involved, right? When it comes to quality time, unfortunately, time is very, very expensive. Though I think a lot of folks are working from home still, probably, or stuck at home because they haven't found a job yet, or the job yet, right? Haven't found the right fit. You're underemployed. Or you're working 2-3 jobs, or at least one side gig, and you're just busy all the time. Or you have little ones or pets or other obligations, and you just don't have any spare time to give. I think that that's excusable. Now, I also want to make sure that if you're going to express all these love languages, I think that someone who knows you are busy, and that person seeing that you are making time for that person, right? You're making quality time happen for that person. Then that person needs to understand that yes, that is a show of affection. That is a show of love, and they need to appreciate it, especially if they understand your level of busyness, right? So I think that's really important too. That probably is taken for granted a lot in the past year and a half, just because COVID has shut so much down. But I think making the time for important things, which in that case the romantic interest is the important thing that you're making time for. I think that should be communicated. I think that should be shown. I think that needs to be a bigger consideration than maybe we're probably taking for granted. When it comes to gift giving, again, for me, not a huge thing. I'm definitely the sentimental type, but unless you know that person, a gift can go wrong. I'm sure a few of you have experienced this. It's all great intentions, but the best laid intentions can often be a complete misfire. If you don't really know the person and you're making a lot of assumptions, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble quickly. That's kind of how you get yourself in the doghouse quickly. So I think the safer bet is maybe later on in the relationship process. You can start to learn what the other person enjoys, appreciates, is passionate about, and can then buy things that would align to their wants, needs, passions, and can hopefully benefit them, right? I'm definitely a big person of function over form. So if I get something that's useful to me and it's, it has a personal touch that makes it a more beautiful form, right? So combining both, but first making sure that it's useful, that is a huge thing for me. I'm not sure if it's my inner accountant or engineer or anything like that comes out and say, oh man, that's going to be so useful. I appreciate that so much. It makes my life easier, right? In today's world, making life easier is so underrated. I think that when I receive a gift like that, it's big, right? It's big. But if I get a gift that doesn't really make my life easier, doesn't really have a personal touch, and it's kind of cookie cutter, then it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's that obviously I don't appreciate it as much because it doesn't tell me that you know me, that you know what I like, I love, I'm passionate about. It just means, hey, I probably need to get in the habit of doing this gift giving because I want to express all 5 love languages, and this is all I have right now, right? This is all I know right now. Let's put it that way. Not quite as easy to communicate. It can be a miss. In my personal experience, in receiving it has been a miss. Again, I usually wait a little bit before I express that in my gift giving, but I think that in knowing someone, you can then pick a gift that would really mean something to that person. Not only would it make their life easier, but they'll probably keep it because it meant something. It will remind them something. It's a memory, right? It's something that they will always take with them. Even if they can't physically hold on to it, it's something that will always be a part of them. And I think that is the ultimate goal. In acts of service, I think that is huge in today's day and age. I think that showing someone with your actions that you have the correct intentions, that you are on the same wavelength when it comes to your pursuits in a romantic relationship, to say that, hey, you are worth the energy, the effort, that right now for me is probably the top of the list. I think that showing effort is attractive in itself. It's not just saying, yes, I'm glad to receive this love. It's, hey, you caught my eye by doing this for me. I will not forget it. Same thing with a very meaningful gift. You being able to prove to me through your actions, in a time where a lot of folks are very, very flaky, very flighting, very, mood of the moment takes over, and really kind of leaves everyone else in your social circles longing for something else. Showing that, hey, I'm going to go out of my way to do something for you, to make a sacrifice on my behalf for you. That is very, very big. I think that's probably going to be the easiest way to win someone over. Again, for guys, it's probably just planning a really cool, cute, fun date. Like that could be it. It could be super cheap. It doesn't have to be laying out stacks and stacks and stacks of cash, because that might be very showy, right? You might make an impression, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like super memorable, or it's not gonna be quite as easily accepted as love, right? It's just gonna be like, oh wow, look at what that person can do, instead of, hey, look at how much effort that person is putting into me. I think that's a bigger compliment. In my personal opinion, I'm sure a lot of folks have different likes and wants, but in my opinion, that goes the longest. Let's see. When it comes to words of affirmation, I think that's probably the easiest everyone can give and receive. I think that's big in social media generations and dating apps. That's it's a dime a dozen, unfortunately, but I think that it's also important to give that reassurance through open and honest communication, knowing where everyone stands in the moment, being able to communicate your own wants and needs, being able to just know where everyone is in their budding relationship, to say, hey, what stage of the relationship process are we, right? Just knowing that is huge, and it also shows that you care, you listen, you heard what they had to say, and you take it into account. You adjust your actions accordingly. You get a better perspective of what their reality is. I think that can be a huge help. But there's another side of that coin, in that not everyone has the purest intentions, right? Kind of went over that a little bit earlier. If you are putting on this false front, it's very, very easy to do in the love language of words of affirmation, right? It tells someone a lie so that you get what you want, and the person on the other end of a dating app, any kind of social media, on a phone line, a text line, whatever, even in person, it is completely misleading. It's disingenuous. It feels gross. It's just not cool. If you can absolutely avoid it, please do. It is really for the adults, it's kind of inexcusable. And when I say adults, I mean folks that can, vote and drink, right? We know that there's different levels of growing up in our teen years, and even, low 20s. I think a lot of growing happens. But I think for the adults out there, the ones pursuing romantic relationships especially, this should never be an option. I think it's good to communicate. It's an absolute foundation to a healthy relationship, but honest communication, that makes a world of difference. Again, I still like quality time to communication, not quite as big. Gift giving, not quite as big. Affection, very big. Acts of service, very big. I think if you feel comfortable expressing all of those, all five, right? Because again, the goal is to give all five in hopes that person feels assured in the expression of your love towards that person. You also need to understand that the person giving you love back may not feel comfortable expressing all five, especially if you haven't communicated your top 1, 2, 3 types of love languages. They have to make assumptions, and they might guess wrong. Being able to communicate, practicing some what I call emotional intelligence, knowing what you need in order to feel love, and then telling that person in a way that is not demanding. It's not a do this or I'm gone kind of situation. In a hey, this is how I best receive love. How do you best express love? And can we find something that we can both agree on would be productive in this relationship? And then turn the tables and hope that you can do the exact same thing for them. In my own personal experience, I think that a lot of folks have favorites in how easily they give love and favorites in how they receive love. Again, I'm a receiver of physical touch, affection, quality time, and acts of service, right? And I think that a lot of folks, they don't necessarily have matching love languages that they easily give. So getting on the same page is huge, especially if you see this relationship progressing. If you see this going something long term, and it's more than just something, no Mr. or Miss right now. You're trying to make sure the shoe fits in a Mr. or Mrs. Right. Because in my opinion, though divorce rates are high and climbing, right? Not a great time to be in a marriage. I think that the goal is to be into a marriage, but to go into the marriage with the vow of marriage, till death do us part, to be taken very seriously, to be a one and done type of marriage person, if you understand where I'm going. That going into a single marriage, and the only thing that would part you is literal death. Again, there's some fidelity issues that I'm sure is probably an excuse to escape a bad situation, or even an abuse situation. Probably need to escape that as quickly as possible. But for the general populace, I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just communicating and understanding what the other needs, and then the willingness to put in the time, the effort, the energy to express what the other person needs and to listen to feedback. That is huge, 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 underrated. I think that is going to solve a lot of problems with couples that seem to be butting heads, right? I think that just an understanding of what the other one is thinking, feeling, and seeing around them, what they're perceiving, right? Because perception doesn't always match reality. I think that if we get into the habit of doing that on a normal basis, then our romantic relationships will improve, our relationship with family members will improve, our friendships will be deeper. Life will become more meaningful for the socialites out there because you're able to connect with people on a deeper level. You'll be able to know your friends better. You will be able to make their day better. If you're a giver, you'll be able to give joy more easily, quicker, and because you'll know exactly what buttons to push to lighten someone's load to make their day, right? So that's hoping that I can find someone who is willing to do the exact same thing for me. I think my emotional intelligence to be able to communicate that back and be able to take a step back and be the empath, right? Just absorb everything that's coming at me. Take a step back and play that third party of, okay, what's really going on? I think that really helps me. Now, what I want in a partner is someone that can do the exact same thing, right? The emotional intelligence to say, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can bring to the table. This is what I'm seeing happening. This is what I want ultimately. Communication is big. Please be genuine, right? You got to be honest and real with the person if you plan on doing something long term. Or be upfront and honest and say, hey, I'm not looking for something long-term. I'm only looking for X, Y, Z. I think that is going to go a long way in my future. I sure hope so. I haven't found, quite the right match yet, but we'll see what happens. Maybe someone waiting in the wings is ready to step up to a bigger role, or maybe someone is being prepared for me that I don't know yet, or maybe it's someone I've met in my past who will reemerge and sweep me off my feet as quickly as I try to sweep them off theirs. Looking forward to the adventure. I know it's a long one. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But I think it'll be good. I wish you guys the best in your own pursuits. And thanks again, everyone who has joined recently. I know it's still kind of in its initial baby steps stages. But yeah, if you can leave me any feedback, I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you can. For any local brews here in the Louisville, Kentucky, or general, tri-state area, let me know. Reach out to me as quick as you can. I'd love to feature you on any of these videos. I'll give a quick review of your brew, whatever you can send in. I'd really appreciate it. Or really, if you want me to take a visit to your brew house, I'd love to come visit that too. I've definitely dove into a few microbreweries and microdistilleries. So for all those microdistilleries out there, I'd love to dive in there too and see what you have waiting in the wings and the stacks of your liquor houses. I'd love to do a little bit more exploration. Thanks again, everyone, for coming to see me. Thanks for sticking it out. And good luck to you guys.